Alright, today we have topic 4.2, which we will be doing investigations of parallel lines. We will go through this. We will identify types of angle pairs formed, looking at the parallel lines and transversals with those. We will determine whether or not the angle pairs are congruent, or if they are supplements. We will begin to see a pattern as we work through this. Alright, so if you look towards the back of your notes, you're going to have two figures. You're going to have one that's a figure 1 and a figure 2. You may have more underneath on your pieces of paper, but don't worry, they're all the exact same figure. If you look at figure 1 right here, that's what we're going to be working with. Figure 1, figure 2 at the top of the page should work out either way. Now, a lot of this that we're going to work with, let's go ahead and pull up our topic 4.2, parallel lines investigations. It says use figure 1, and it says to trace angle 1 and compare to the following. So let's look at 1 and 5. If you're looking at 1 and 5, let me go ahead and pull back to our angles. We're looking here at angle 1 right here, and then angle 5. So we're looking at 1 and 5, and it asks what's the type of angle pairs formed. Alright, so when it's asking us this, go ahead and pull back to this. Types of angle pairs formed. We're going to look at it. We're going to say they're both on the same side, but they're both not interior and they're both not exterior, so that leaves us with corresponding. Now, there's one thing that we didn't go over. We did not pull out a protractor. Whenever it's saying to trace angle 1, that's one of the parts that we skipped over, is using the protractors to measure what these angles are, seeing as how most of your work and what you're looking at here is on the computer screens. What we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to look at those, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to step you through congruent or not, and then supplements or not. So you can look at those two figures, and in figure 1, what needs to be on your image there that you will not be seeing is we're doing parallel line investigations. So these should have an arrow on both of these showing that they're what? They're parallel. That's somewhat of an arrow there. So if those two lines are parallel and we have a transversal that cuts it in two, our corresponding angle pairs will be congruent. So we can put yes. Are they congruent? Yes. Now, are they supplements? That will be a no. And as we follow this pattern, as I walk you through this, we will look at this. All right, so 1 to 4. So if you're looking at it 1 to 4, it creates our bow tie. Our bow ties are vertical angles. Now, the question is, are they congruent? We do know they are on the exact same line. We learned that previously, that vertical angles are congruent, so we can put yes. And are they supplements? Well, you can look at that pretty easily and say that no, they are not. All right, so 1 to 3. Now, 1 to 3, if I pull back over here, let's pull back to what I'm looking at. 1 to 3, here's our 1, and here's our 3. They're on the same line. And if we remember back here, go back a couple of notes, they're not our verticals. They are adjacent, that is part of it, but it can go a little bit deeper than that. If they are adjacent and they add up and they're on the same line, they're going to add up to 180 degrees, then at that point, they are a linear pair. Linear pair. Now, are those two congruent? In this instance, no, they are not. They can be in a special occasion. If they're both equal to 90 degrees, then a linear pair can be congruent, but in this case, no. And are they supplements? Well, a linear pair, by definition, we do know that they add up to 180, so yes, they are supplements. All right, 1 to 8. 1 to 8. Go ahead and pull this back up right here. We're now looking here at angle 1 and angle 8. Now, since these are on parallel lines, I will go ahead and give you the big hint. These will be congruent. Now, let's look at the type. They're not interior, so we can throw those away. They're not the corresponding. They're not on the same side. So they're on the opposite sides, and they're on the exterior. If I was to come through, I would paint this. This would be my interior. I could say this is my interior. And then I could paint all of this out here. This right here is my exterior. So we know that these two angles are exterior and they're alternate. So let's go back to our notes. 1 and 8. They're the alternate exterior angles. Are they congruent? Well, there's a little hint that I told you. Yes, they will be congruent. And let's see, are they supplements? Well, you should be able to look at that. And if we know that 1 and 4, there's a lot that we'll be able to pull off of this. Let me go ahead and pull up our one before. So knowing what we knew a while ago, we said that 1 and 4 are a vertical pair, meaning they are congruent. If you go back up, 1 and 4, vertical pair are congruent. Now, we can look at these, and since these two pair of lines are parallel, then we can say that 8 is also equal to 4. So 1, 4, and 8 are all equal. And then if 8 is equal, a vertical pair to 8 would be 5. So we can say that 1, 4, 5, and 8 are all congruent to each other. Same thing can be said for 2, 3, 6, and 7. So going back to your notes, let's go ahead and fill in. Let's look. Are they supplements? Well, if they are 90 degrees, they would be, but in the case that we're looking at here, they are not. No. All right, and lastly, let's look at 1 to 7. 1 to 7, they are on the same side of your transversal, and they're both on the exterior. So then you have same side exterior. Same side exterior. Now, if we know that 1 and 3, let's look back here. What I just told you, I said 1 and 3. Oh, I accidentally hit it there. Here we go. I said 1 and 3, we know that they are a linear pair. I also said 1, 4, 5, and 8 are congruent. 2, 3, 6, and 7. So that means 3 and 7 are congruent. 1 and 3 did form 180 degrees when added together. They are supplements. So knowing that, would 1 and 7 now be supplements? And in that case, they would be. So if they're supplements, we can say yes here. And if they're supplements, they will not be congruent, because we know that 1 and 3 right here are 1 and 3. It is not congruent. So 1 and 7 will also not be congruent. All right, so let's scroll down a little bit in our notes. Using figure 1, now we're going to look mainly at our angle 3. Pull that up real quickly. All right, so I've scrolled down, and we're looking now at an angle 3. And it's going to ask us compare 3 to 5. 3 to 5. Well, what do we know? We know 1 and 5 are congruent. We know 3 and 7 are congruent. So 1 and 3, they formed a linear pair. They added up to 180. So would 3 and 5 then add up to 180? If 5 takes the place of 1, it would. So what we can go here and we can go ahead and do is we can look at supplements or not. Are they supplements? We can say yes. Let's go ahead and put that in. If they're supplements, we can look at that and we can say they are not going to be congruent. And real quickly, let's jump over and let's look. They're both on the interior and they're both on the same side. So that makes them same side interior. Same side interior angles. All right, 3 and 6. 3 and 6. Looking at them, type of angle pair, they're both on the inside. They're both interior angles. I'm sorry, they're not on the same side. They're both interior. They're on alternating sides. So looking at your definitions, alternate interior angle type. Alternate interior. Alternate interior angle. All right. Now, looking at those, are they congruent? 3 and 6. Now, if we know 2, 3, I said a while ago, 2, 3, 6, and 7 are congruent, so we can say yes here. And if you follow a pattern, if it has been congruent, it has not been supplements. There's only the special case as if they are all 90-degree angles all the way around. So let's go back and let's look at this. Which types of angle pairs were congruent? If you look down your list, everything that's congruent, first we're going to have our corresponding. Correspondings are congruent. Verticals are congruent. Alternate interior and exterior. If they're alternate, they are. Alternate interior or exterior, both. So those are all congruent. Which types were supplements? Well, a linear pair, because that's by definition, adds up to 180. Linear pair. And we have the same side. If they're on the same side, same side, interior or exterior. Add my E to the alternate up there. So, which ones are congruent? A corresponding angle is congruent. Vertical angle pairs are congruent. And alternate interior and exterior. So if they're alternate at all, in the case of parallel lines, as long as the lines are parallel, then they will be alternate. They will be congruent, Which types were supplementary? We have a linear pair, of course, by definition, and then you will find that same side interior and exteriors are both supplements. All right, so let's go ahead and turn the page, and we're going to look now. Let's scroll up to the top. Second page, it tells us to use figure number 2. We're also going to trace angle 1, which you do not have a protractor, we're not going to worry about. We're going to go through this pretty quickly on this one. Now, if we look at this, I'm going to go ahead and pull up our figures here from before. Now here's figure 2. In figure 2, we have here our interior, and here is all of my exterior. But there's one big difference here, and it's very obvious. These two lines are not parallel. So it wants us to trace our angle 1. So we would normally start out, we're going to look at angle 1 right here. And now it wants us to basically go through what we did before, angle 1 and angle 5. It's going to ask what type. And on these types, what you're going to find is they are exactly like the types before. We have 1 to 5, 1 to 4, 1 to 3, 1 to 8, 1 to 7. And then down below that, we're also comparing our angle 3 to both 5 and 6. Now the types of angle pairs formed will be no different with our 1 to 5. 1 and 5. Exactly the same as what we have here. They're going to be on the same side, but they're not going to be both interior nor both exterior. That's going to make them corresponding. Now 1 to 4 will be our vertical. 1 to 3, once again our linear. 1 to 8 the same, 1 to 7 the same, so on and so forth. So now that we get that, we can come over here and I'm going to fill in this first portion all of my types of angle pairs. So I have here my corresponding. One to 4 was a vertical. 1 to 3 linear pair. 1 to 8 alternate exterior. And 1 to 7 same side exterior. Now, let's look at our congruency. Granted, you can't measure it. 1 to 5, pretty obvious. Are they congruent? No, they are not. 1 to 4, they're a vertical angle pair. By definition, are they congruent? Yes. If it is a vertical angle pair, they must be congruent. Linear pair, will they be congruent? Only in a very special circumstance with 90 degrees, but in this case, no, they are not. Now let's look at 1 to 8. 1 to 8 could be, you could say, well, that's fairly close, but we know that 1 to 5 is not. 5 and 8 are vertical pairs, or the bow tie, 5 and 8, vertical pairs. So 5 and 8 will be congruent. So if 1 and 5 is not congruent, 1 and 8 cannot be congruent. That's all that you can derive from knowing your definitions of your angle pairs, is we know that 5 and 8 will be congruent due to the fact that they make the bow tie, that they are vertical. And if 1 and 5, if we can prove 1 and 5 are not congruent, 1 and 8 then is also proved not to be congruent. Now 1 to 7. Once again, that's another one that you can look at, you can eyeball. Are they congruent? No. Now, here's one thing that you will not know. You will not know whether or not they're supplements. I'm going to tell you 1 and 5 are not. 1 and 4, they are not. 1 to 3, linear pair by definition adds up to 180. So are they supplements? Yes, by definition they must be. 1 to 8, I can go ahead and tell you no. If you care to get a protractor out, feel free, measure these angles. You will find that this will be the correct answers, and 1 to 7 is also a no. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and scroll down. We had figure 2, trace 3. If you go back to your previous page of notes, they will stay the same. Same side interior, and here we have alternate interior. Now, we're looking at this 3 to 5. Pretty obvious that will not be congruent. No. And now 3 to 6. That should be one. It's you could say maybe, but I can go ahead and tell you for sure that they are not. Now, supplements. Once again, you would need a protractor for this. I'm going to change that O to look a little bit better. We have no and a no. Alright, so now I'd ask which type of angle pairs are congruent or were congruent in this case. If you go down your list, we only have one that shows to be congruent, and that is the verticals. And now why is that? Out of definition, vertical pair will be congruent. And just the same, which type of angle pairs were supplementary? By definition, a linear pair adds up to 180. Therefore, that is our only set that was supplementary. Alright, now last page of our notes. We're going to look at our conclusions. How are Figure 1 and Figure 2 different? And this is something that I went back and I stated that Figure 1 has parallel lines. So, parallel lines are in Figure 1. Which angle pairs were congruent in both figures? By the definition, our vertical angles. Our vertical angles. Which angle pairs were supplementary in both figures? Once again, harp on this. By definition, a linear pair will be supplementary every time. Now, when were the other angle pairs congruent or supplementary? Well, only when parallel lines were cut by the transversal. So make sure you have that in your notes for our conclusion. Figure 1, the difference was that it had parallel lines. Which had both that were congruent? Well, that's verticals. Verticals will always be congruent. Linear pair will always be supplementary. And when will others possibly be congruent or supplementary? That's only when a set of parallel lines are cut by a transversal will we have that. So let's scroll down here and let's look at our examples. Example 1. Using the figure below, identify each angle pair. Tell whether they are congruent or supplementary. What's the first thing that we should look for? This right here. Because what does this tell us? It tells us these lines are parallel. Alright. For the sake of some visible help, this is my interior. And these will be my exterior. We have our two lines that are cut by the transversal. The two lines will be what you're looking to sandwich in between. Whatever is sandwiched between these two lines will be our interior. Everything else is an exterior. 1 and 5. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to say this is my angle 1. And this is my angle 5. 1 and 5, parallel lines. We know by definition that these will be congruent when you're looking at this, because they're, what type are they? They're alternate and they're exterior. So I'm going to write down alternate, exterior. That's what type they are. Go back to your first page and look down, alternate, exterior. You will get down to 1 and 8. That will be your 1, 2, 3, fourth one down. Alternate exteriors. Are they congruent or are they supplementary? We'll find that they will be congruent. So circle congruent. 2 and 3. 2 and 3. They're on the same side and they're both interior. So they are same side interior. Go back to your notes. We are dealing with parallel lines. So in our notes, parallel lines, go down and find same side interior. Are they congruent? No. Are they supplements? Yes. So now we can circle that they are supplementary. Scroll down a little bit further to our example 2 real quickly. In the figure below, L is parallel. All right, there, right there. That's what we're after. We need to know this. L is parallel to N. Find the measure of each angle. All right. So now we're having to dig a little bit deeper. It tells us measure of angle 3 is 115. I'm going to go ahead and write all these. I'm going to write this down right here. So for this example, don't write the rest of them because they will change. But the measure of angle 3 is 115, so let's find 5. If you look, we've got our interior here. These are alternate interior. Go back to our first page, find alternate interior, the very last one, when we're traced angle 3 compared 3 to 6. Alternate interiors, we know they're congruent. So in this instance, if that is congruent, that means measure of angle 5 is also 115 degrees. Don't forget your degrees. I want to delete all of that. All right, now let me erase this. All right, hide this layer back there. There we go. All right, so now we're back. It says measure of angle 1 is now 130. So if this is 130, what do we know? We know that this, let's look and see what we can do right here. Let's take this time and we can fill out every bit of this. 1's 130. 3 is 130. 5, we know, by definition, will be 130. 7 will be 130. These two are supplements. They're a linear pair. If they have to add up to 180, 2 must be 50. That means 4 must be 50. 6 is also going to be 50. And 8 is going to be 50. So we're looking at the measure of angle 1. It says find 7. Those are alternate exteriors. If you wanted to go back and look at the alternate exterior definition, it's going to say they are congruent, which we have already determined. So the measure of that, 130 degrees. Don't forget your degrees. All right. And let's lastly look at this one right here. Measure of angle 8 tells us 8 is 47 degrees in this instance. We can go through and we can put all of these together if we need to find the measure of angle 3. But we know that 3 and 7, if we look at 8, what kind of angle pair will be formed by this? They are not on the same side, and they are neither interior nor exterior. So we don't have any of the angle pairs that we've gone over. Nothing will fit this, but we know 3 and 7. 3 and 7 are corresponding. Correspondings are congruent. So let's see if we can find 7. We know that 7 and 8 are a linear pair because they are all both on the line and they are adjacent. So in that case, you can say, well, I have my 180 minus a 47. That's going to give me angle 7. And whenever you work this out, you will get a 133. So 133 degrees right here. We just said 3 and 7 are congruent. Therefore, 3 is equal to 133 degrees. If two lines are parallel, it makes it very easy to go through and you could fill out any of the missing information that we would have using the knowledge of whether or not they're either correspond or congruent or they're supplements. They will either both add up to 180 or they will be the same. 6, 8, 2, 4, all the same. 1, 3, 5, 7, all the same. 4 and 5 add up to 180. 1 and 4 to 180. 2 and 3 to 180. 1 and 2 to 180. You can do that all the way around at just quickly glancing at it and knowing. Once you know, then this will become a lot easier for you on the assignment.